The classic trope of the masked vigilante has been popular from as early as 1919, when the masked crusader Zorro was created. With an all-black costume including a half mask, a double identity of a rich father's son and avenger of the downtrodden, Zorro is a precursor of the superheroes of today. Keeping the hero's public and private personas separate, the mask lends a certain enigma of its own, and when it comes off, wow! The impact is undeniable. That brings us to today's video, the top 10 superhero face reveals in movie, brought to you by none other than the TV Regent.
We have to shut it down. Please tell me how.
Peter Parker.
At number 10, we have Spider-Man revealing his identity to his mentor turned nemesis, Dr. Octopus, and love interest Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2. A nuclear scientist for Oscorp Industries, Otto Octavius aka Doc Ock, is working on a fusion power project to make self-sustaining energy. However, things go wrong when his experiment destabilizes and he loses control of a harness of robotic tentacles attached to his spine. The now sentient, artificially intelligent tentacles goad the scientist to continue his experiment. With the nuclear reactor dangerously out of control, Spider-Man arrives on the scene, saves the hostage Mary Jane from imminent death, and starts fighting Doc Ock. To bring back the Doctor, Spider-Man takes off his mask, revealing himself to be Peter Parker. He reminds Octavius of something he'd told him, of intelligence being a privilege used for the good of mankind. Parker manages to change the Doctor's mind, who sacrifices himself to destroy the reactor, thus saving the city and his own humanity. A classic good wins over evil end.
You once spoke to me about intelligence. That it was a gift to be used for the good of mankind.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Next up, at number 9, is the anti-hero Deadpool unmasked in front of his lady love in 2016's Deadpool. In this refreshing take on the superhero flick, we follow Wade Wilson's journey from a wisecracking mercenary in love with the escort Vanessa to a severely scarred, experimentally mutated costumed Avenger. Battling terminal cancer, Wilson signs up for an experimental cure where he's injected with a serum to awaken latent mutant genes. Subject to inhumane torture to trigger the mutation by Ajax, Wilson finally awakens his powers, which neutralizes the cancer but leaves him horribly disfigured. What started off as a last attempt to be with his girl takes him further away from her as he continues to live in the shadows. However, Wilson, as Deadpool, tracks down Ajax to cure his mutilated self. With the help of X-Men Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, he takes down the bad guys, only to find out that Ajax was lying all along about a cure. Since he isn't a typical hero, Deadpool kills Ajax in cold blood. Reunited with Vanessa, Wilson reveals himself to her and she accepts him without hesitation. In his own words, Deadpool is truly a love story.
The way we... Why?
You were droning on.
Our next entry at number 8 is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in the Mark Webb-directed The Amazing Spider-Man. On a mission to find out what happened to his parents, Peter Parker is bitten by a genetically enhanced spider at Oscorp Industries, gaining super strength, speed, and agility. Smart as a whip, he finds his father's partner, Dr. Curtis Connors, who specializes in cross-species genetics. However, after the death of his uncle Ben, Parker takes on the role of a vigilante hero, cleansing the underbelly of the city. Soon, he's christened Spider-Man and is wanted by the police alongside Connors, who's turned into a humanoid lizard. In an action-packed sequence, Spidey is cornered by the police and unmasked by Police Captain George Stacy, his girlfriend Gwen's dad. The web slinger manages to take down all the officers except for the captain. Forced to confront him, Parker reveals himself and desperately pleads to let him go so he can save Gwen and the rest of the city from the lizard, who plans to release a chemical cloud to change all beings into lizards, thus erasing all human weaknesses. Devoid of much dialogue or theatrics, the scene compels not only the audience, but the Iron-Willed police captain to trust Spidey.
I'm not gonna fight you.
At number 7, we have an emotional reunion for Cap and his longtime friend and war comrade Bucky Barnes in 2014's The Winter Soldier. Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, now working for the espionage agency S.H.I.E.L.D., discovers that the terrorist organization Hydra has been reformed within the agency's ranks. Using a data mining algorithm to identify individuals who would eventually be a threat to them, Hydra plans to eliminate them using the 3 Insight helicarriers and satellite-guided guns. Rogers and Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, storm 2 of the carriers and replace the controller chips. But on the 3rd one, they're confronted by Hydra's super assassin, the Winter Soldier, who's an amnesiac Bucky Barnes. Cap manages to insert the chip and destroy the 3rd carrier too, but he refuses to fight his brainwashed friend, eventually taking off his mask and revealing himself to reach Barnes. Till the very end, Cap never stops calling out to Barnes. He never gives up on him either. Cap's persistence pays off. As he sinks into the river in a poignant moment, Barnes finally recalls his old friend and saves him.
Hey, Cap! I found those bad guys you were talking about.
You okay?
The 6th spot gets dark and macabre with Tim Burton's Batman Returns. It's Christmas in Gotham City, but it looks more like Halloween with an ensemble of creepy characters, each with their own agenda. There's the millionaire Max Schreck, who plans to drain all of Gotham's energy and even attempts to murder his secretary, Selina Kyle. Kyle, meanwhile, has taken on the mantle of Catwoman. Finally, there's the deformed Oswald Cobblepot, better known as the Penguin. He plans to rise from the sewers where he was abandoned by his parents and set out on a mission to kill the firstborn child of Gotham as retribution. He's joined in this sinister plot by Schreck. However, the villain's plans are foiled by Batman, who corners them in the sewers along with Catwoman. Traumatized and half deranged, Catwoman has her own troubles, being driven solely by revenge. The great reveal comes as Batman tries to talk it out of her endgame. The fiercely private masked crusader tears off his disguise, showing himself to be Bruce Wayne, Gotham's billionaire playboy. He begs her to come with him, but Kyle is too far gone. Putting her 9 lives on the line, Catwoman electrocutes Schreck. It's a grotesque end to a gruesome tale, and Batman's left standing there powerless. At the halfway mark is the adrenaline rush-assured chase scene in Captain America's Civil War that features the Black Panther. Holding the Avengers accountable for oversight, the government has decided to put the team under the control of the United Nations. Now, the group splits into 2 factions, one under Tony Stark and the other under Steve Rogers. At a UN conference in Vienna, a bomb goes off, killing Wakandan King T'Chaka. Bucky Barnes, a brainwashed super soldier and Steve's old buddy, is the prime suspect. Cap decides to bring Barnes in himself and tracks him to Bucharest. But before he can get his friend to safety, they're surrounded by the authorities and pursued by a superhuman in a black catsuit. This is our first peek at the Black Panther. He single-mindedly goes after Barnes, heading into a tunnel with heavy traffic and setting off a chase that's both fast and furious. As Hunter and Hunted outrun cars, Cap can barely catch up to them. When the chase winds down, Black Panther retracts his claws and takes off his mask, revealing himself to be T'Challa, the new king of Wakanda.
I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man. Who wouldn't remember this scene from the first Iron Man film? It's a personal favourite of mine. We have Tony Stark declaring himself to be the Armoured Avenger at number 4. Industrialist, genius inventor, and an absolute ladies' man. Tony Stark has everything going for him until he's fatally injured by a terrorist group, the 10 Rings, in Afghanistan and forced to build a deadly missile for them. Smart man that he is though, Stark instead creates an arc reactor to keep himself alive and power a prototype armoured suit. After making his escape, he shuts down the weapons department of Stark Industries in public. He then begins to work on a more powerful arc reactor and a sleeker suit. Donning his new toy, Stark obliterates the 10 Rings and exposes the mastermind behind, who's none other than Obadiah Stane, his father's partner and the company manager. Having thwarted Stane's plan to get rid of him and take over the company, Stark addresses the press and bluntly declares to a room full of reporters that he is Iron Man. Now that's a way of making a lasting impression.
My fish! Give me back my fish!
Spider-Man 2 makes a comeback in the runner-up spot with another memorable revelation. The action begins with the web-slinger and Doc Ock meeting in an intense encounter atop a running subway train. Unable to gain the upper hand, the tentacled antagonist tears out the brake lever, leaving the train to hurtle at breakneck speed towards a dead end, and Spider-Man the only hope for its frightened passengers. It seems like Mission Impossible, but Spidey does stop the train in the nick of time to avoid a lethal fall over the city streets, which would have claimed many lives. His mask having already come undone in battle, an exhausted and unconscious Spidey is carried inside the train by the passengers with great reverence. As the hero who saved their lives lies maskless and vulnerable, the passengers look upon a young boy who couldn't be older than their sons. Admiring him for his immeasurable courage, they promise to tell nobody. And so, Peter Parker puts his mask back on, and Spider-Man is back.
No, it's okay, I'm a nice guy.
And finally, in the number one spot, we have Andrew Garfield's dimension-hopping Spider-Man in the MCU Spider-Man No Way Home. The film is set in an alternate reality in the vast multiverse where Spider-Man, played by British actor Tom Holland, is facing negative publicity affecting his friends and family. He asks Doctor Strange to cast a spell so that the world can forget his identity, but the spell gets derailed when he makes one too many alterations to it. Instead, supervillains from the Sam Raimi-directed Spider-Man trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man films turn up, creating havoc in the world of the current-day Peter Parker. Parker insists on sending them back cured to change their fates. He ends up stealing the spell from Strange and trapping him in the mirror dimension. But this only creates more chaos and leads to the reappearance of Parker's older versions, memorably nicknamed Peter 2 and Peter 3. And from this chaos ensues the most fun scene in the movie, which is Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, or Peter 3 in this case, being asked to prove that he's really Spider-Man by crawling along the ceiling and dusting some cobwebs. Packed with nostalgia for Spidey fans, this unmasking truly deserves the number one spot on our list. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this selection. Press like if you love my list of the top 10 superhero face reveals in movies. Do leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. And I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel, The TV Regent, for more fun and amazing superhero videos. See you soon.